Good morning, everyone. This is the first class for computer science with Python. I have attached one PDF which includes the content of the syllabus. This content includes three units. The first unit is computer system and organization, which we are going to start today. The second unit is computational thinking and programming, which include the language Python. The third unit is society, law and ethics, which include the topics like internet, network, cyber safety, cybercrime, etc. So let's start with the first unit, which is computer system and organization. So every one of you is knowing what actually is computer, what are the components, how they work. But what actually is a computer system? So when I say system means it's a combination of different components together to form a single unit, to work as a single unit to perform a specific task. Like we have music system, fine? It include different components like it include microphone, mixer, power amplifier, loudspeaker, cabling, etc. Many components. And all these components are combined to work as a single unit to perform a specific task. Similarly, we have computer system. So we can say what actually is a computer system? It is the sum total of all the components which are hardware and software that makes a fully functional computer. So what actually are hardware? They are the physical components, the machinery itself, and what actually is software? They are the set of instructions. Hardware are something which are tangible, which we can touch, which we can feel. Software are intangible. We have discussed this earlier also. We'll discuss this in detail in the next lecture. So what actually are the elements of computer? When we say element of computer, we have already hardware and software. But we have user and data also. They are also important elements of computer system. The computer system is incomplete without these four elements. See, the hardware is incomplete without software. Suppose you have hardware and software, but it doesn't contain any data, then also it is incomplete. But if it contains hardware, it contains software, it has data also, but there is no user to use, then also it is a incomplete system. So they all are interrelated to each other and form a fully functional computer system. Now, the components of computer. Basically, we have four basic components of computer, which are input unit, output unit, processing unit, storage unit. Why we are saying unit? I'm saying input unit. What actually is input unit? Unit itself defines that it is a combination of different components. So input unit includes all the input devices together which have a common task. The common task is to provide the input to the computer. Similarly, the output unit has a common task which is to provide the output to the output devices. Fine. Processing unit include arithmetic logical unit, that is ALU. It includes CU also, control unit. And the last one is the storage unit. It is the memory. We have two types of memory, the primary memory and secondary memory. We also have cache and registers, which we are going to discuss here. So basically, storage is of two types, primary and secondary. So primary are the internal memory that is inbuilt in the computer, which are RAM, ROM, cache. Secondary memory is the external memory, which are like backup for you, which you provide externally, which you insert externally. Fine. So these four are the basic components of a computer, which are input unit, output, processing, and storage. Now, how these are connected to each other? See, keyboard, mouse, these are input devices, and these input devices combinedly make an input unit. Similarly, these are output devices, monitor, printer, speaker, and so on. These are combinedly called the output unit. Right? This is the CPU, this is the processing unit. It includes ALU, CU, and this is the memory unit or the storage unit. So these components are combined to form a fully functional computer system. Now see, what is happening here? These input devices are giving data, they are being processed, and information is passed to the output devices. Everyone know what is data and what is information? Data is the raw facts which are meaningless. Okay? When these raw facts are processed or organized, they become information. So what is happening? We are giving the raw facts, and these raw facts are processed to form information and given to the output devices. So everyone know that every single machinery follows the IPO cycle, which is input, process and output. So here also input is coming to the processor, it is getting processed, then it is going to output devices. So it is also following the IPO cycle. Now see, these are the components of the system and they make the physical structure of the system. This is the physical structure. But these components should be connected logically to each other, and that logical structure is called the computer organization. So how we will connect these components logically to each other? We will connect these components together using the system buses. Fine, and these system buses only make the complete computer organization. So what is computer organization? It's the logical structure of computer describing how its components are connected to one another. It is done using the system buses. So system buses, which are also known as electronic pathway, they are nothing but a communication medium or a channel amongst the components of the computer. And why we need these system buses? They are used to pass the data and instructions among the components of computer. See, these system buses are subdivided into three buses, which are data bus, address bus, and control bus. Data bus, as the name itself suggests, it carries the data. Address bus, it holds the address of the data, from where the data is coming, where it will go. Every data address will be transferred using the address bus. Control bus, it controls the entire functioning of the computer, or we can say the CPU, which is the brain of the computer. So the brain controls all the devices altogether. So now this is the logical connection between the components. This was the physical structure of the components. This is the logical structure of the component. Now how these are connected? See, these are the input output devices which are connected to the computer, and the data here is carried using the data bus. These are the data bus. Data bus are bidirectional. The data can move from input devices to memory and back from memory to the output devices. Similarly, from processor to the memory of the computer, and from memory to the processor again. So data bus are used to carry the data. Now we have address bus, which is unidirectional. It gives address from a processor to where the data has to be sent, in that output device or to the memory. Similarly, we have control bus, which is controlling the input output devices as well as the memory of the computer. So these are three sub buses which are used to carry the data and information in the computer system. So that's it for today. Tomorrow we'll discuss the components of computer, hardware and software in detail.